I don't know about you, but something that's never made sense to me is why Minecraft is a 3D game, but blocks like ladders, rails, and chains are not. Well, thanks to these resource packs, they can be. So today we're going to talk about them, as well as a bunch of other resource packs that will improve your experience in the game, all of which can be found in my Sensible MC mod pack, which I covered in my previous video going through all the different mods. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. But today we're going to be looking at the resource packs. Now, full disclaimer, I am using different resource packs compared to the ones that come with the Sensible MC pack on its own. The only real difference is just that I've added the reimagined resource packs. So the reimagined fresh animations patch and the reimagined resource pack. However, I have gone into the files and removed certain files in order to make it look the way I want it to look. And I can show you that here actually. See, for example, I don't like Reimagined's grass texture. It looks weird. I don't know why it looks like this. This is an example of a certain texture that I edited out. I just went into the files of the resource pack and deleted it, as well as like the shrunk bees. So here, let me turn on my version. You can see the grass is normal and the bees are normal and a bunch of other things. So I just edited the files to remove a couple things that I want, but keep the things I want, like the grass and like the GUI. Just as an example, I'm not going to specifically cover how I did that. It just involved going into the files and finding the textures that I didn't want and removing them. So it'll take a bit of trial and error, but as long as you're careful to remove things one at a time and replace stuff if it's not the culprit, you can customize resource packs to be how you want. And there's videos that will show you how to do that, but I just want to let you know that that's why some of my textures will look different, is because I'm using Reimagined. But today we're just going to be using the resource packs that come with Sensible MC, so you don't have to worry about that. Assorted allays. So this resource pack adds a ton, like literally like over a couple hundred different skins or textures for allays. So it adds a ton of different types here that are all honestly super creative and really interesting. Honestly, it feels like every time I see an allay, there's a new kind. Is that a balloon zombie allay? They've even got an Omni-Man one. What? Now you have to bear in mind the allay upgrades mod, which allows you to store allays in books, will cause the allays to get new skins. So just bear that in mind. Shaded font. This is a pretty clean, just font upgrade to the base game textures for the font. So it adds kind of a little bit of shadow to the underside of the text, and it just makes it pop more. It makes it stand out a bit better. I really like this font. A good place default animations. If you saw my previous video, I talked about the a good place mod, and it basically adds a little animation to the blocks when you place them. And that's resource pack driven. So this resource pack is basically just the default one. There are some crazier ones like this one where they scale from the center, and apparently it's customizable. I never got into that, but you can try it out. Animated items. This pack updates a bunch of item textures to have animations instead of just static sprites. So things like a glowing sheen on a netherite sword, blinking ender eyes, gleaming ores or diamonds, things like that. Just add some animations to make them look better. 1.21.5 egg textures. This resource pack adds the new egg textures to older versions. Fine armory. This resource pack updates the armor textures in the game to be a little bit more detailed, a little bit more interesting looking. I especially like the gold armor. It has like that crown texture, and yeah, the armors look better with this installed. 3D ladders. This resource pack gives ladders a 3D overhaul, so they actually are 3D shapes instead of being flat textures. Wait, do you guys hear that sizzling? Oh my gosh! Torches reimagined. This resource pack updates torches to have a little bit more of an interesting texture to them. It gives them that little ring around when they're placed on a wall, and otherwise just kind of updates the fire and the wood texture and makes it look great. 3D sugarcane. This is probably one of my favorite resource packs because the old sugarcane texture just looks terrible. With this one, you get these nice 3D, cube-shaped, tall-looking 3D sugarcanes, and they look really good with shaders, and just in general, they make sugarcane look a lot more realistic. Fancy crops. This resource pack updates most of the basic vanilla farmland type crops to be a little bit more bushy, a little bit more interesting. Most of them have indicators to indicate when they're fully ripe, like potatoes have flowers on them, but carrots have a bit more dimension, and yeah, it just makes the plants look way better. Cubic leaves. I like my Minecraft leaves to still be relatively square and to not have so much bushiness to them. And so this resource pack does a good in-between of adding a little bit of dimension without making leaves look too noisy, which is great. Connected paths. This is a pretty simple resource pack that just makes some textures like stone and sand and dirt mixed together when they're next to each other so that it looks a little bit more realistic and less grid-like. Saturated grass. I gotta be honest, when I added this resource pack, I thought it did something. Turns out it doesn't. Oss's colorful grass. This resource pack updates grass texture in the game by adding a bunch of different variations and, well, color variations and shape, making the grass look a bit more interesting. Mossy's better dirt. This resource pack updates the dirt and grass textures in the game to look a little bit smoother instead of so sharp like the vanilla. Brush animations and extensions. This is one of the best resource packs, if not the best resource pack that you can use in Minecraft, honestly. It adds a bunch of animations to basically every mob in the game. So here you can see a bunch of side-by-sides between a bunch of the different mobs on the left, which is just vanilla, just standard animations, and on the right. So it adds a bunch of walking animations, basically animations to anything that mobs are doing. So yeah, it just makes mobs look a lot more interesting in the game, makes them look more animated and varied. I'm showing you a bunch here, like this Enderman, his arms swinging a bit more. Yeah, just a bunch of different mobs to show in the game. There are a bunch of extensions that you can install that are in the pack that add some things like animations to, well, that adds things like that quiver on the skeleton or the mandibles and bent legs on a spider, and animations to chests when they open, which you'll see in a minute. So yeah, this resource pack just updates and improves mob textures to make them look way better. Honestly, this is one of my favorite resource packs. I can't glaze this resource pack enough. It genuinely improves your experience almost beyond any other resource pack out there if you want some interest added to things you interact with all the time, which are mobs and blocks. So yeah. Fire rekindled. This resource pack updates fire textures to be a little bit more, I don't know, just they look different. I prefer how it makes the fire look. It's up to you whether or not you do or don't prefer that. But yeah, fire rekindled makes the fire look like this. Undopia 3D rails. This resource pack changes rail textures to be 3D, like we've talked about. 3D resource packs out there, of course, has to be included in here because who wants flat textures? Now it works in this pack, but there is an odd little error when working with Vanilla Experience Plus, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So that's something that you'll want to remove in the future, but you can see here with Vanilla Experience Plus installed, it causes the rail texture to like wig out. So yeah, that's something you might want to bear in mind. Either remove that resource pack or remove its effect on ladders. Door tweaks. Going on the same lines here, door tweaks updates door textures to be a little bit more 3D, have a little bit more dimension to them. So things like oak doors and birch doors will have a little bit of dimension. The spruce door handle is actually 3D now. The oak door is 3D. It just makes door textures and trapdoor textures look 3D instead of 2D, which makes them look a lot better. So yeah, have at it. Simple 3D chains. Beginning to sense a pattern here. We talked about it at the beginning, but it's okay. It looks good. Here we are. We got 3D chains. With this resource pack installed, chains will now be 3D instead of 2D. So, yep. I don't really know what else to say about this at this point. Dude, I've been getting back into Clash Royale. I don't know if you guys have any deck recommendations. You can leave those in the comments, maybe. It's not Minecraft related enough, I suppose, but yeah, whatever. Simple 3D iron bars. All right, here we go. You got to start out with the witch, right? You know, witch at the back, then baby dragon. Okay, you dropped a prince. Don't worry, we have a graveyard. Traben's 3D arrows. This pack updates arrow textures from the kind of weird looking, honestly, very weird looking vanilla texture to the actual item sprites of the arrows being shot. So yeah, this is one of my favorite resource packs. It updates the arrows in a way that is unbelievably amazing. I don't show it here, but it shows on the actual bowstring when you're pulling an arrow. And it just makes arrows look way better. Vanilla Experience Plus. This resource pack changes and updates a lot of different parts of the game, a bunch of different textures and blocks. I usually keep this, and I did on SensiMC, loaded down underneath many of the resource packs, the other resource packs, because it updates and changes a bunch of different things, like block textures and item textures, many of which get overridden by other ones, like it updates the armor texture and the GUI, but that'll get changed with other resource packs. But I mean, just looking here at the before and after of different things, it updates and changes a bunch of different things, so and improves them in a lot of different ways. So you can and will run into those in the game. But yeah, it's loaded underneath a bunch of other ones, so it's in there. So it's kind of up to you whether or not you'll see it or not. I do use the UI that this comes with, like here, the overlays for the crafting inventories and stuff like that. I use that in my personal usage of the resource packs. So yeah, it's a really good resource pack. Copper Rails 3D. This is a pretty straightforward resource pack. It comes default with the Copper Rails mod, which I talked about in my other video, and it just makes the Copper Rails 3D instead of being 2D like the other Rails one. So yeah, 3D muskets. Similar deal with this resource pack. It also comes default. I think it does. I can't remember. If you don't, then either way, it's in the pack, and it works with the muskets mod to add a 3D model to the muskets so that they actually look a bit more realistic and a bit improved. So something that it does is when the rifle's in your offhand, you'll actually put it up to rest on your shoulder, which I think looks really awesome. And yeah, otherwise just makes holding the musket look better. And that's basically every resource pack in the mod pack. There's a couple others, a couple of different font packs. I think there's still Duskfall UI. You can check that out for yourself. But that's all the time I have for this video. This is covering all of the resource packs that are loaded into my SensiMC mod pack by default. Go check it out. Go download it. Especially because literally like a couple hours after this video is uploaded, I'm going live and launching my new YouTube member server, the Sensible SMP. So if you want to join that, join my membership, tune into the stream, join my Discord. All of the details to join will be in there. So go check that out. Come join me there, and I will see you there later, guys. Bye.